You had said that when talking about the Type 26, that you have a moral obligation to make sure that 30 years from now, people who serve on those ships say those guys made a good decision on the ships. As you look at the Type 31e program, there is concern, a very ambitious goal of having a multi-purpose frigate for 250 million pounds with weapons fully delivered. And a number of naval analysts we've talked to have said that they just don't think that can be done, that that's realistic. You're one of the folks who had said if the lower end frigate's going to be an over-glorified offshore patrol vessel, forget about it. Are you convinced that that's an achievable target for 250 million pounds to deliver that kind of capability for the Royal Navy?
Well, I don't know the detail of design, but I'll be very surprised if they're able to create a properly and capable and credible platform for 250 million pounds. I hope they do, because a lot of people will buy it. But if it sinks, that's not a good place to be, either politically or morally.
What do you think, the way the Navy is approaching this program is to look at it and say, we're going to work with industry, and we don't have any set expectations. Gun size isn't set, tonnage isn't set, range isn't set.
That's always been the case, Vargo. That's always been the case.
But there, historically, as I recall, the Navy would at least put up certain parameters on what it wanted the ship to be at a base level. From your standpoint, as somebody who's been in this game for a very long time, what do you think, if you were sketching out that frigate, given what you know, what are some of its core attributes be? Should it be 4,000 mile range, X speed? If not weapons, then what kind of payload capacity does it need? What are some of the, if you were going to sketch it, what does that sketch start to look like? Is it something that looks sort of like a Type 21 in terms of, where intellectually I think folks are trying to go, because at the time you had 42s, 22s, and then you had the 21 there on the lower level. What's your sense on what this ship should look like?
Well, you can imagine that it's almost the entire topic of conversation amongst those who've dedicated their lives to warfighting at sea. And there's some basic rules. If you build ships of aluminium, they burn. People try to tell you that they don't by putting cladding on them, but they burn. If you make them too small, you run out of fuel or water to do very long distances. If you don't have capacity in volume terms, you don't have flexibility to design new opportunities and exploit the volume for decades to come, because ships last for 30, 40, 50 years. So the universal truth is that you try to build in flexibility. And of course, building in flexibility doesn't look good on a piece of paper in front of a politician, because of course it looks like an intangible ambition, where actually it is precisely the sort of flexibilities that make great platforms last 30 or 40 years. So small for me is not good.
And you would is a Type 21 the right way to think about this in terms of a ship that had a safe self-defense capability, but it also had exocets, it had a capable gun, had an ASW suite, but it also had a flight deck?
Well, if you can package the whole lot together in a way that gives you a volumetric solution that you're pointing to, parking the aluminium point, if I may.
I'm not making a vote. Just want to make this clear for anybody who is a Falkland Islands survivor, a veteran of the war.
You're not a spokesman for the aluminium industry either.
No, not the last time I checked.
Okay, so I think that that's why I answered your question originally by saying we'll have to see what the design looks like, and we all reserve judgment until we know what that is. But fundamentally, it has to be a credible platform. If it cannot fight and survive, not just for this year, but for 15, 20 years to come, it's got the capacity to grow, then it's not worth building.